low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day.
Hey guys, this is Just One Guy, and I'm back here with another video. Now, I haven't made a video in a while, and that's just because I've been doing stuff and I really haven't felt like it. But in today's video, I wanted to talk about AI, because while I was on social media, I saw this video. Let me just maximize this. I saw this video of this guy talking about an AI picture that was made. And the commenter was against AI, and they brought up some points about how AI destroys the environment and everything like that. And every time I hear AI spoken about, it's always the negative stuff of AI. And I'm against the negative points of AI, but I'm not against AI itself. And one thing I think is pretty dumb when people talk about AI is when you bring up the negative points, and they seem to imagine this world where you'll get rid of AI totally. Like when people say, I hate AI art and I don't want AI art. Okay, you can dislike AI art, but AI is a useful tool for making art. And when you see the AI art, it's usually made by a multi-billion-dollar company. And that multi-billion-dollar company is trying to cut costs as much as possible. Now, you can not like AI art, but that company isn't gonna ignore valuable technology just because you don't like the art. So rather than just saying something reductive as I don't like AI or something like that, I think we should talk about the good points and the bad points of AI and focus on getting rid of the bad points, like the clear copyright issues and the environmental impact of it, and focus on the good issues on how it can actually speed up workflow. So from time to time, I do use AI, some of it to write code, some of it to generate pictures and stuff like that. And I just wanted to go over how I think AI should be used as a person who actually uses it to develop games. Now, the first problem we have to get over is what companies promise that AI can do. Now, how companies would like the AI technology to be used is just to write all the code and develop all the assets for the game. Now, to be fair, AI can do this. But the problem is when you do stuff like that, you run into the problem of that nobody can fix anything where it goes wrong. Also, AI can't really make anything new. Because of the nature of AI, it takes in data and then it kind of randomizes it to give you an answer of something new. So if I generate a picture, it's going to look like another picture because the AI is just taking a bunch of pictures that it looked at and then giving me a vague sense of a picture of what I asked for. If I ask for a picture of a wolf, it'll show me a picture of a wolf, but it's just making that picture of a wolf based off 1,000 other pictures of a wolf that it saw. It's not going to give me like a wolf-man hybrid or something like that. And that's just the nature of AI. So the two problems with generating an entire game is if I ask the AI to make Call of Duty, it's just going to give me Call of Duty. But I've already played Call of Duty. Nobody's going to want to play that game again. And you can have little variations, but AI is always going to do things like that. The second problem is that once the AI writes that code, no one's going to be able to fix it because it just wrote an entire code base and it wasn't written by a human. Even if it documented it out, it's a human that has to go through the documentation and everything like that. So it's not really feasible for an AI to write an entire game. Now, where it is feasible in coding is for the AI to do small tasks that will just speed stuff up. And when I use AI, that's basically how I use it. And I wanted to demonstrate one of the things that AI did that was really helpful for me. Now, to do that, what I'm going to do is just spawn in an enemy here and give them time to get over here. Now, this game has a physics-based attack system, and how it works is there's always a collider, and when you come close to the character based on the distance that the attack is supposed to go, I'm the white guy and the enemy's the red guy. So right now he's in my collider, and Let me just go and pause it so I can demonstrate this a little bit better. Let me go to the player. That green part is the attack collider. Now right now it's off, but when I press the button to do an attack, it'll turn on. It'll recognize that he's in the space to be attacked, and then it'll do an attack, and at a certain point in animation it'll calculate the damage. Let me demonstrate it now. There it goes. Now, I didn't use AI to create that. I developed that system all on my own and everything like that based on how I wanted it to work. I wanted a simple system to attack. The problem is this system only worked for one character. That attack collider can only detect one character at a time. That's the way I designed the system. Now what I wanted was an AoE attack. I wanted to use this same system, but I wanted it to attack multiple characters. And I did write the code to do that. The problem is when a target's in this collider, it registers them once. But when I developed the system, I could never get it to work because whenever it detected a character, it would detect them like 50,000 times. And that would mess up the calculations, make the game run slow and everything like that, and just have other problems that made it unfeasible. Now with AI, it simply fixed the problem. I could have fixed the problem by myself. Let me just demonstrate it now. You see it's hitting multiple characters. It's doing damage to multiple characters. And you can hit a single character, all depending on where you're at. Now I could have fixed this problem by myself, which would have took a couple of days and going through Unity's documentation and everything like that. But I just asked the AI to fix it, and it fixed it. And I can understand the code, and I can modify the system to do whatever I want. I believe that that is a proper use for AI. Now, you can still say that AI is super destructive to the environment, and you don't want to use it based on that. But my counter to that is that the technology exists. There's no world in where AI is not going to be an option. And as long as it's an option, and it's the quickest option, people are always going to use it. So when you say, I'm just not going to use the technology and I don't like the technology, it's kind of unrealistic and reductive because you're going to have to use the technology at some point. It's like when they invented Photoshop. Sure, you could go through and draw on a picture and everything like that and draw a person into a picture or paint a person into a picture. Or a better example is comic books, when they used to draw comic books physically on paper, versus now where they add all the effects through Photoshop and other programs like that. It's just quicker to do it with the computer, so your people are naturally going to do it with a computer. And to say you're not going to do it with a computer is just a reductive and unrealistic. So I think a better solution is to find better ways to operate data centers, which are less environmentally destructive, and then come up with realistic ways that you can use AI. Because right now, the main problems with AI, at least on the coding side, not on the generative AI with pictures, because that's clearly a copyright issue and a deepfake issue, which is just going to have to be a difference in the way society handles it. It's either going to have to be handled by law, or just us getting used to more fake pictures and having no rights. But on the environmental impact side, I think we should just come up with better ways to do it. There are better, more ecologically better ways of handling AI. You could build it in deep, colder environments, spend more money to build it in better environments and stuff like that. It's not an impossible task. They're just doing it the cheapest and most destructive way right now. But there are benefits to using the technologies because it makes your workflow quicker. Another benefit I want to talk about was this right here with generative AI in pictures. Because right now, Baldur's Gate 3 had a controversy where they used some AI assets in the development of their game. And some people say that's super unrealistic and they won't use it. They won't play the game, and they want to give up on the game, and they want to boycott the game because they use those assets. But they only use those assets in development and didn't have real artists come in and draw the artwork after they were done. Now, I do use generative AI with the pictures in certain instances. I wouldn't use it in game just because they look bad right now. Those are actually, that's not generative AI. That's actually an asset pack. This is generative AI pictures. Now, in this context, what I'm using it for is just to get a feel of what I wanted to create. This system right here is a class system, and I needed a bunch of icons to represent the specific classes I was going for. And while you can buy an asset pack with icons like this, it'll never be exactly what you want and never describe exactly what you want with this attribute. Like right here, I wanted to describe stamina, and the AI just gave me a picture of a person running, which more or less describes stamina. So it just gives me a feel of what I want. Now, most people will say, I don't want a game that uses any AI. And I think that's just unrealistic. You're asking a person to come in and generate assets which they're going to throw away anyway in the final product. Yes, it will get the artists more work, but it's a technologically backward situation and ignores the technology that exists that's cheaper, and the companies are never going to do that anyway. That's just unrealistic. The second group of people will say, okay, I'm okay with AI as long as you don't use it in the final product. Now, this is more reasonable, but ultimately an unrealistic situation. Because right now, this is where I stand. I'm okay with using AI, generative AI in development, but not in the final product. But that's only because right now, the AIs, they can't generate pictures good enough to be used in the final product. Eventually, they will be able to do that, but right now, they can't do that. So, I'm with that for right now. But ultimately, we're going to have to get used to AI art in games, and in fact, it's already happening. And the reason for that is it's just cheaper and more efficient and quicker just to generate an icon with AI or an asset with AI than actually making it. And a lot of people might say, I don't like how it looks and all this other stuff, and yeah, that is reasonable. But ultimately, the companies, every game studio is going to use the technology that's the cheapest and most efficient. So it's just unrealistic to say don't use AI art in games. And right now it's a reasonable take only because the AI art sucks. But what happens when the AI art is good? What happens when the model creation by the AI is good? Then what are we going to say? Are we going to ask somebody like Ubisoft or Microsoft not to use it? Even if we did, what are we going to do? Boycott all games? If studios like, I forgot who makes Baldur's Gate 3, but I remember it's not a big studio. It's a mid-sized studio, if I believe. If that studio right now is using generative AI in the development process, you really think Microsoft isn't going to do that? And Microsoft isn't going to push it one step further and use it for in-game assets? It's just an unrealistic act. So rather than making an unrealistic act, which is never going to happen, and just asking everyone to ignore the technology that exists and is useful, I think it's more reasonable to say the demand that we create laws that say they have to do it ethically. We should create an ethically based generative AI for pictures and videos. And I know that the companies right now don't want to do that because they don't want to pay copyrights and royalties to every single artist whose picture they stole and downloaded. But ultimately, that's the best we can ask for. Secondly, I think we need to make laws regarding AI data centers, and make them more efficient, not more efficient, but build them in a ecologically better way. So it's better for the environment. Other than that, I think it's unrealistic to say just ignore the technology totally. It goes back to you're asking someone to ignore a valuable technology. Can you imagine if somebody said, I'm against all computers? Nobody used computers in the development of games or something like that? It would be ridiculous. Or if somebody said, don't use game engines. Like, most games now are made with Unreal Game Engine because everybody knows how to use it, and it's a simple process. Everything's taken care of. You don't have to write your own physics engine. You don't have to write your own rendering system and everything like that. It's all taken care of. You can just use a system that's already battle tested and documented. And yes, it makes all games look the same and come out pretty samey, but it's also saving their developers a shit ton of money, which otherwise it would have cost them. So I just think it's an unrealistic ask to say that no studio uses AI. I also think it's pretty unrealistic for Steam to label a game as using AI, because I haven't seen the system yet, but are they talking about which specific part of the game was developed with AI? And then how far does that go? Say I just used AI to generate icons. Do I just put some AI was used to create some art? Or what if I used AI models? Or another situation, what if I bought AI models off some sort of asset store? Do I have to mark that the game is made with AI because of that? Or what if the AI did some of the programming and I did some of the programming? Do I mark the AI as having AI code? Or the problem is, like, in my modern games are going to be made with at least some AI to a large degree. So what do you mark there? It's just some of my thoughts on AI as someone who uses it, and I, yeah, what am I saying?